topic that was voted on was delivery processes. So it's quite broad, but did anyone prepare any interesting solutions for delivery processes? Does anyone have a new delivery process they'd like to share? Has anyone implemented? Yes, hopefully not just Lucas who says no, but does anyone have any new delivery processes that like to share anything interesting they've discovered or implemented that works really well for them? Now's the time to share. Let's just start with that topic first. And Sina told me he's about to join as well. So we're going to have the organizer of this call here as well soon.
Nice, Sina's joining. Well, I don't have like content to share, but I do have a question about it to kind of kick off the conversation. That's about Facebook advertisement, the delivery. My outsourcers who take care of the delivery are quite busy with the current projects. So we're just wondering how we can kind of take away some work of them. So I do, the current setup is I do have a project manager who does everything around it, and then they're basically the advertisers. So I'm just wondering if I should bring in someone kind of like a junior advertiser, like very low ticket, who does more like the setting up part, which takes a lot of time because it's like an annoying interface, so that they can more focus on the strategy and analysis, whilst someone else is more executing and setting up the way they want it. So I was just wondering if someone does have a setup like that, and what their experiences was.
Yeah, this is Facebook ads basically, right?
Yeah. In case it wasn't 100% clear what I'm trying to do, just let me know. Happy to explain further.
Yeah, can you explain a little further? Because it sounds pretty interesting.
Soren, one question: how many projects are your people handling per advertiser?
They have 7 projects.
So they definitely should be able to do more than that. What kind of budgets do you typically manage for clients?
It depends. Some are like 2K, others are like 7K.
Yeah, so
but they do have another like they do have a couple of e-commerce stores themselves, so they are managing these also.
Gotcha. No, so that sounds about right. I'm not sure like if this what you're thinking about is going to save them a lot of time, because they will have to do a lot of like delegation work.
What does everyone understand what Soren actually wants to do? The way I understood it is he wants to hire a junior advertiser to help out with some menial tasks so that the more advanced guys can focus on the high level stuff. Is that what you mean, Soren? Or maybe I didn't understand it myself.
Yeah, exactly.
So one question, like, do you think that the setting up part is the bottleneck in the whole process? Or is it because, for example, for me, this is the onboarding new clients and like the strategy stage. This is where we've got the bottlenecks, and then like projects go so smoothly. And if it wasn't for the management and just the information overload, the guys could manage like 20 accounts.
Yeah, the onboarding is quite intense, and with most projects it's kind of okay. However, there are a couple of projects where we basically launch new ads for new blog articles every week, which is very labor intense. So there are 2 projects that do take a lot of time, as it always requires new setup.
Gotcha. So what's the process like? Do you need to get something from the client to publish those ads?
Yeah, so the client provides an article that we're going to advertise for. We create some images. We create the ad copy. We set up the split tests, and then we run them. And then we don't only run them 1 week, but we keep running them if they're profitable. So and that's also the project with the highest ad spend. and as part of the blog articles are also for lead generation, it's like we're paying like €2 per lead. So in relation, it's basically even more ad spend than if we were advertising a high ticket course. Then obviously 7K ad spend would not be as much, but as it's such low ticket lead generation, it's even more extreme, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. So let me tell you what I'm doing, right? Because I've got this like junior advertiser set up now, right? But my guy, he's not a junior advertiser, he's a junior marketer. So he takes care of like all the support functions of the funnel. So he creates landing pages, emails if need be, sets up all the like backend integrations, right? And then like he has the capacity to do some like minor ad tasks, right? It's just we never had to implement this, but I think if you had somebody who would be, this kind of junior person, more versatile, they need a bit of guidance when it comes to, like reviewing their work. So probably project manager or this lead advertiser that you have would have to overlook their work, do some quality assurance on it. But this way you would have someone who you can, kind of channel into different projects as they are needed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
But not just restricting them to doing Facebook ads, but actually give them, a bit more to do. And this is actually super appealing for young guys who are learning. You just need to get someone who's good at, who's got the basics of copywriting, like has set up, let's say, a website before, so that they know how the backend works. Let's say they've done a little bit of Facebook ads, and then you've got a person who's gonna be doing pretty much everything. They are super excited because they're learning from like a marketing agency, and you've got the solution for your overload of your advertisers.
And that's working well for you?
Yeah. So far, it's just my junior guy is a bit overloaded now, so I just found a second one. So we're gonna be because like in my case, the bottleneck is the onboarding and the research and the audit process that we're doing. So we're training this new guy to in our process so that he can execute it instead of my advertiser.
Okay, so you do have a head advertiser above the two junior guys, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, and okay, cool. So the head advertiser, it would basically be a very similar setup as what I'm looking at, yeah? As the head advertiser is more taking care of the strategizing part, the analysis and some optimization, and then also obviously some executing tasks. But like if there is anything that's like he can push onto the junior advertiser, then he does that, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. It's just if you've got something like those publishing blog posts, if this is always like the same ad spend, same kind of split test, if it's super easy to set up the copies, it's gonna save you some time, right? But if it would be just like, because we've tried this before, just like handling over just the setup of the ads, while the lead advertiser is doing the strategy, but it didn't really work because it maybe saved us like, I don't know, 10%, 15% of time, because you need to explain like what is needed in great detail, right? But if it's something like repetitive, pretty simple, then it's fine to outsource it.
Okay, I see. Yeah, because like my idea behind that was kind of that they do get someone on hand who will slowly get trained to learn more about Facebook ads, to then be able to in future manage accounts himself. So basically like slowly trained.
So I haven't done this myself. I haven't done this myself, right? But I think you're gonna be better off just like getting somebody who's already advanced and then training them in your process if you've got some good strategies. Isn't that gonna be faster? And you're also gonna get some outside perspective as well, right? If you're gonna do that. Not sure. Anybody has any other take on this? So the contrast between training somebody in-house from a junior versus hiring somebody who's already knows what
Yeah.
they're doing?
In general, if you do this method, you're going to have a large pool or a pool of any kind of people that you can choose or that choose themselves to be promoted by performing better than others and taking more responsibility naturally than others. So you're creating a meritocracy system that self-generates more senior guys. And if you self-generate more senior guys, you don't have to pay them huge amounts of money for project as well, because they're homeschooled basically, right? Whereas if you try to get a guy who joined a bunch of masterminds and they told him to charge a lot of money and all that kind of stuff, it's going to be harder to get them to do things the way you want them to do it because you didn't really train them. And they're going to be, they're going to demand more money up front as well because that's the way they've learned it elsewhere. So I see potential in what you're saying. That's what I'm saying here.
I get the point, but from my perspective, so the guys that I'm hiring, like it's just a matter of also who you're targeting, right? If you're targeting guys who are like, taking mastermind courses, they're like super confident in themselves and they don't mind like, negotiating the deals, that's probably what's going to happen. But like I usually channel people from who, let's say, they've just quit working for some marketing agency that was like exploiting them, right? And they hate talking about money, they hate negotiating, they just want to do their job and actually want to learn more and get better at what they're doing. They're super passionate about this, and they are satisfied with like whatever you tell them, pretty much, that you're gonna pay them, as long as this is like slightly more than they used to get, but they actually don't care that much. I guess it's just a matter of finding a good process for hiring those people.
For the junior ad guys, I mean, you just need them to be familiar with the back end of Ads Manager, right? So then the advanced guy is going to be like, set up these custom audiences, these lookalikes, put this campaign with these kind of features. I think you'll have general processes in like for really repetitive stuff that needs to be done all the time. And you'll also have repetitive processes for certain projects, like the one you mentioned where you have blog articles. So for that one, your head advertiser, you record a process video because it's specific to that client. But in general, I would hire, I'm sure as Matt's saying, you could find someone for pretty cheap that knows the back end, that if they get told to do certain things, like they you don't need process videos for that. They know how to create, let's say, custom audiences or something like that. You don't have to train them on it.
Well, I think,
but they also don't need to be coming up with a strategy, which is something that they have to use their brain for. So
yeah, I think if they're too good, like Alex says, or I don't know if it was Alex saying it, but if they're too good, it's basically going to be like kind of a tricky situation, because they basically not want to do the dirty work of the other advertiser. So kind of like having someone rather unexperienced but knowing the back end a little bit, and training them, I think that might be a good way
they can't be as good.
Solution.
They can't be better or as good as the head advertiser, because then it's just yeah. So that means that they're learning, right? The pitch is that they're learning from a better advertiser.
Yeah, exactly.
They're getting paid for the amount, like, yeah. And then also, Matt, like, how do you pay the junior and senior advertisers? Do hourly or per project?
No, I do usually per project, but to be honest, I pay them the same. It's just that usually the junior has like 3 times as much work, or 4 times, because they're doing like landing pages whenever there's like an edit needed. We need to call them. They write like emails. Every like tiny thing that needs to be done. It's like a VA work to an extent, right? It's just they have some marketing background, and I usually try to find people who know how to write, who enjoy writing, right? So that it's fun for them. if they get trained in creating landing pages and writing emails, it's actually fun for them. This is my primary requirement.
So how does it work, the relationship between the head and the senior and the junior advertiser in your team?
So to be honest, it's like, so as I mentioned, like we're not doing this delegating the advertising tasks much, right? Mostly like the support work. Sometimes it's possible, for example, when a guy goes on vacation and like he's only got his mobile phone, right? And like he needs something set up. It only happened once. Then like the other guy can set it up, right? But normally it's just like me managing, because I don't have a project manager yet. Me managing, like delegating the task to each of them, right? And then if the lead advertiser needs something, they also message it in the relevant project group on Slack, and the other guy sets it up, like analytics or whatever. Does it make sense?
Yeah, kind of. I'm just not sure now. What does the senior guy do?
The senior guy does all the ad campaigns, and the junior guy. So remember, it's not an it's not a junior advertiser. He's just like a marketing VA who creates landing pages, writes emails, set up chatbots. What else? He like sets up some integrations between, let's say, the autoresponder and the landing page. Things like these. He gets the graphics done for the ads.
I see. Okay, so the advertiser is basically doing most of the advertising, but there's other things that need to be done, which you have a generalist marketer kind of that does that on his own. Like it's not that he gets the copy from the head advertiser and plugs it into Ads Manager. He does everything else, and then the advertiser can just focus on the Facebook ads.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
Ibrahim,
Alex?
are you looking to chime in on this conversation? You have your hand up.
Hey,
I guess not. Oh, yes.
no, actually, yeah, I just had a question, but you can finish it up and then I'll ask.
Alex, do you think it's because it sounds like you do like the idea. My only concern was that there would be another person, an additional person involved, and obviously we're always trying to keep, like we were talking about it, the more people you manage, the more people there are involved, the more complicated it gets.
Here's how it can work. If the junior guy takes away so much work from several senior guys that the senior guys can focus on very high level stuff most of their time, then that saves time for everyone. That's how I look at it. But do you have multiple senior guys, right? That's the real question. Because having one junior guy and one senior guy doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you have 5 senior guys, maybe it's justifiable to have one junior guy, because he can run around, do all the copy paste kind of like template setup and like image research and checking with Amazon AI if the image is expressing certain emotions that are going to rank well on Facebook, like that kind of stuff a junior guy can do, because it doesn't require any like intelligence, just like copy paste work. And then eventually he becomes what people like Ryan Dice call more of a full stack marketer. So he will start understanding the different parts of the funnel and different parts of ad management and stuff like that, because he's getting trained on all that at the same time. And then he can become a senior guy if he chooses to, right? So you shouldn't necessarily push them. You should get people who push themselves to become like that. And you cannot have a perfect hiring record with people like that, to be honest. So you're gonna have, yeah, I like, honestly, I'm actually starting to think, does this make sense for a small agency? If you don't have 5 guys, does this make sense? The answer to that, I don't know. I don't know how to make it work in a small team, to be honest with you. Maybe someone else does. So if anyone knows how to make it work in a small team where it's efficient and it's not just the work being split in half with 2 people, then please tell me, because I don't know how to do that.
What if
Sure.
you have, in terms of, I know everyone here doesn't sell just Facebook ads, but since we're in this example with Soren and Matt, let's say for Facebook ads, if you have your own processes, whether you yourself are knowledgeable enough about Facebook ads or your ad advertiser puts your own processes, at least on paper, then you know that you have an XYZ formula or way you do your ad copy, and you have that written down. You know when what your scaling strategy is, what your audience strategy is. So then when you have these processes, then you may be able to train someone that already has a background in marketing in your processes. And obviously, the more standardized your Facebook ads agency is and the more niched you are, the easier that is. But even that, if you're not,
by the
you
way,
can still have, yeah.
Relating to what you just said, it's actually a good idea when you hire these junior guys to have them go through all the digital marketer Lab Plus courses, just so they understand the different parts of marketing, like content creation, social media management. You know, if they understand the different parts, if you just continually spend 4 hours a week watching course material and making notes and making sure they study this stuff, after 2 months, you're going to have a junior guy who understands many levels of marketing, and then he can make much better decisions for marketing campaigns. This, in the industry, there's a term now being developed called full stack marketer. Just like there used to be there are full stack developers, now there's such a thing as full stack marketer. And it's much better to hire a full stack marketer to do something, because he can see all the different layers and how they work together. Whereas, for example, an image selector can only copy paste images and kind of put them into like a tool and research them a little bit or something like that, right? So the world is heading more towards full stack, especially for small teams, and away from ultra specialization, as they call it.
But if you don't have your own processes for that, doesn't that mean that now that person, like you're really reliant on that one person? Like, what if they get sick? What if they quit?
Yeah, I mean, the solution is not to run a small company, but grow so that you have a lot of leeway. Because all of these processes, I think it works like this. In the beginning, it's quite inefficient with like 2 or 3 people. Then it becomes very efficient at some unknown number, let's say 20 people. And then I know for a fact, after 150 people, efficiency with everything goes down. So companies with more than 150 people, you need culture, you need all these complicated things. Like you saw what happened in DBH. Once we passed 150 active members, everything became complete chaos. And no one knew exactly what was going on anywhere, right? Because there's everything going on at the same time all over the place, right? And that's not even a company, they're just a mastermind. Imagine what would happen in a big company where everyone's completely reliant on each other to have any results whatsoever. So I mean, maybe that's like too theoretical, but I would definitely start training and creating people who are all-round specialists with a focus in one specific thing. So they understand funnels, they understand content, they understand social media, but they focus on ad buying, for example. That way, if something needs to be done and no one's available or a person drops off, there's not going to be like, yes, but I'm an ad buyer, I don't write copy. No, the guy's going to write copy, it's going to be not as good, but he's not going to have to bother you or anyone else. He's going to make it work until you find someone to replace the writer, for example. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's kind of where everything is heading right now, based on all the, experts and gurus and all these people, they're saying that now, which is very interesting to me, by the way. Like, it makes a lot of sense. And if you look at, if you look at the past, if you look at the people you've worked with who've performed above average, for me at least, it turns out a lot of them are more full stack people and they're less specialized. I don't know if you guys agree. Maybe you have the opposite opinion. So let me know.
Yeah, so my junior guy is like that, right? So I'm training him in like different areas. In fact, I stole something from my friend's marketing agency, which is like what is it called? Like a marketing matrix, which is like basically they have a list of all the different skills in marketing, and like at the end of the month in that agency, or like every 3 months or something, like somebody rates each person in the company on those different scales and those different skills, right? So then they are trying to, and then they train people in the skills that, for example, somebody is lacking, so that they are trying to develop those T-shaped people. right? So like full stack marketers that are
Oh,
specialized in something.
Yeah, T-shaped. That's what they're called. Like some online gurus start calling them that, T-shaped people. Where did you read about this?
It's
from Sam?
Google. It's from Google. This Google uses
Oh,
this.
Google calls them that. Interesting.
Yeah, so basically, this is what I'm trying to do with my guy, but like the only, like, Sina, you're concerned that this person is, you're gonna be hugely dependent on them. It's true, right? Especially, so I'm facing this problem that like this guy was doing everything, like on many projects, and he's just like the bottleneck right now, because obviously landing pages and writing takes a lot of time. So that's why I onboarded a second person. I've got a little bit more redundancy now. I mean, the guys in the training phase still the other one, but my hope is that it's going to be a bit, you know, more efficient.
Well, I think also a solution for all this stuff is like standardizing the service a bit more, right? So like why, like the only thing I can think of like why we continue with the complex stuff is two things: is like the lead gen source, because we have different leads coming in, and then also the fact that Facebook ads done, like, it's a service that's on retainer, so that's an advantage. But I feel like why aren't we like simplifying it by niching down? Or it just seems like it's such a complex system, and that's why like it doesn't seem to be the easiest thing to have processes around.
I think like even as specialized agencies should keep at least some part of the project like from outside, you know, their specializing niche, because the market like keeps changing, right? So, and your clients' needs keeps changing, and like if you, let's say your clients come to you at some point from your specialty and they're telling you our competitors are using this different service add-on, right? Why can't we get this, right? So I think like in the process of, I mean, maybe somebody's got a different opinion, but like from my perspective, if you keep experimenting with different things on the side while keeping the core of your activity stable, then you're gonna like be able to test out different new funnels ideas, right? And implement the ones that are working, and you're not staying behind like by just simply getting rigid with what you deliver.
Right, but if let's say you offer Facebook ads and funnels for one niche, you can continue to improve that. You can add chatbots to it. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's relevant. So I don't know if anyone else wants to talk about that. That's fine. But I don't want to waste you guys. If you guys want to talk about, don't want to talk about that, that's fine. It just seems like if it's a complex problem, maybe it's, I don't know.
What about, shall we switch to the next topic? Because we still have a whole freaking hour. We can talk about content. What is the second thing here? Content lead generation strategies. How about we talk about that? Because we have that as the second most voted topic in the chat. You want to switch?
Yeah, I think they had the same amount of votes, so I think we're all interested in this also.
Yeah. So what? I mean, okay. Well, what about we start with what are people already doing for content? I know Jonas is doing stuff. Lucas, I don't know if he's here still, but I think, yeah, he's definitely doing stuff. Who else is doing stuff? And just what are you doing actually? What are you guys doing exactly?
Yeah, so for me, in terms of content, there's two people in the company who write content. One is myself and one is my marketing guy. So, I mean, nothing special, to be honest. Just whatever marketing customers we have, we write their content. We make sure that it's unique, and yeah, just basic stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
just basic stuff. Like it's not something like we're not. I wouldn't say that we're like the core of our business is content, but we do content which is like just writing some copy for our customers. You know, Facebook posts, blogs, and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, in this case, well, what would you guys like to know about content that we didn't discuss last week? Because we did a whole like half hour about it, I think. So just let me know, like, what is missing in your knowledge or strategy right now? What would you like to know?
So I've got a question. So when is a good time to start testing out this funnel?
Well, creating content and speaking to the camera, or writing or copywriting, like all of those things are very high leverage. Ideally, everyone should be doing it all the time, so daily, and you'll learn it really, really fast. And anywhere you put it, it's going to get some traction at least, and then you can multiply it and make better choices later on which platforms to use and stuff like that. So the answer to when is always, to be honest, in terms of content. It just, like, look how well it's working for DBH, the mastermind. Most of the leads are from content. So
Gotcha.
that's the thing
So
that I
what about
started doing content. I didn't do like lead gen in any other way. Sorry?
So I'm thinking about getting started with this, right? So I'm like doing those videos for DBH right now, just to get a bit better, and then when I feel ready, I'm just gonna go public with it. But my question is, I should probably define.
Don't learn content by not going public. You need to not just create the videos, but publish them and have everyone look at them. That's how you really learn. Like, the way I learned was I was standing in the middle of a busy street with the whole street looking at me and passing by saying, who the fuck is this guy? And pickpockets trying to rob me and stuff like that. That's, you learn really fast like that. I'm not saying you should stand in the middle of the street and do that, but don't hide in the group. If you're gonna do content in the world out there and try to get people on phone calls as soon as possible. There's no point doing content unless you're getting people on phone calls.
Gotcha. Is there such thing though as content that's, let's say of bad quality that would hurt actually my company image?
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about this image stuff. Don't worry about that. Here's what I would do. I would review and compare the things that your clients are most interested in and are looking for reviews of and comparing. For example, tools or different types of services or different types of ads, like Facebook ads versus Google ads. What is better to convert law clients or something like that? Like, what are people looking for? Find out. And the buyers, they're looking for comparisons, reviews, that kind of stuff. If you want an example of this, a good blog of how it's done properly is Yale Appliance. This is from Steve. He does calls in DBH sometimes. He runs a $120 million company. And between, I think, around 5 or 6 million of those 120 million are from his blog. So if you want to look at how things are done properly, look at his blog. And he absolutely confirmed with 100% certainty that it's not just his industry where that type of content works. So that's where you should look. And you can do the same thing with video that he does on text, by the way. So if anyone else wants to chime in, go ahead. The blog is Yale Appliance. Yale, like university, Yale Appliance.
Gotcha. All right, cool. So in terms of the...
So I think the main thing that you're saying, Alex, is like, don't think of like, oh, what do we want to convey? It's like, are like, find content that ideal prospect actually wants to like learn about or find, like, read, not just...
You need to start doing content and getting people on calls, and everything else you'll sort out as you're doing it, because you'll run out of things to say. You'll not get enough views and calls, and you'll start adjusting based on that. But you need to start with implementation. The content is really, really hard to do because you need to force yourself. Like, if you're learning a new skill, you're learning creativity, you're learning how to speak to a camera, which is basically a soulless black dot that you need to stare in and pretend it's a person. You need to improve your speech. You need to improve your copywriting live on camera. Like, content is not easy, dude. There's a lot of skills, and everyone's like looking at you and judging you and telling you you're a piece of shit, no matter what you create. So you should start with that and learning those skills, and then all the rest, like exactly what to talk about and stuff like that. I gave you some examples, but that's kind of secondary in my opinion. And I mean, it's not just my opinion. I mean, it's many people think like this. And me and Mario started like this as well, so I'm speaking from experience.